Good evening and welcome back to another episode of West Talk. Today is Tuesday, December the 12th. We've got a great episode for you. We've got a guest in studio and we're also going to be connecting with some of the great venues around our city to hear about what events are happening in the month of December. And things are starting to get a little wintry out here now. We've had some licks of snow and then some rain and then some more snow and then some more rain. But one thing we know for sure is winter is coming and it'll be here soon, just like Christmas. So we're going to talk about a few things that we can keep in mind this winter to keep some of our things in order, like our vehicles, for example, which we pay lots of money for, and then expose them to all the elements of Western Newfoundland and hope to get the most value out of them as possible when it comes time to trade them or sell them. So we've got a guest today who's going to give us a few tips about that. And then next week we'll have a cool episode. We're going to have a bit of a Christmas special with some people here in studio, so make sure you mark your calendars for that one as well. Now, just like every other episode this season, we're introducing you to a book by a fine Newfoundland author, and today the book is called Away from My Island Home, the true story of Eliza Gill. Born on Silver Fox Island in 1914, Eliza Gill was working in service before she was 8 years old. By the age of 11, she was informed by her father she would be sailing on a fishing schooner to Labrador, where she would cook for a crew of 5. For this, she received no pay, but she didn't complain. Eliza liked the island way of life, but she wanted more for her family. She persuaded her husband, Jacob, to leave their island home before the resettlement program began. Jacob worked first as a logger and then as a butcher on Joey Smallwood's pig farm in Gander during World War II. The end of the war saw Smallwood's piggery shut down. At Eliza's insistence, the family moved to Toronto. There she met a Jewish neighbor who was a Polish survivor of the Holocaust. She told Eliza about the horrors of war, and she could not even fathom. It would haunt Eliza for the rest of her days. And there's more on the back here, detail, but a great biography by Gary Collins, and available to you wherever you buy your fine books in Newfoundland. And of course, this is published by Flanker Press, just like most of the books we're bringing you this season. All right, now in studio with me today is somebody many of you folks in our community will know and recognize. We have one of the city's most, infamous and serial entrepreneurs. I say infamous in a good way. Jamie Fallow has been involved in many businesses and different startups here in the city. Was the founder of Fairway Honda as well as Marble RV, and has recently started up a new venture right next to our studio here. And so we thought it'd be a great idea to have him in to talk a little bit about that, and so I can ask a few questions about what the average person in Western Newfoundland can do to help keep our vehicles in good shape over the winter. I know my wife and I recently purchased a new vehicle, and now the thought of entering into our first winter together is making us cringe a little bit. So here to talk about that and more in studio is Mr. Jamie Fallow. Jamie, thanks for coming down, man.
That's a big lead up. I don't know if I can fill those shoes for you.
Yeah, sorry about that. I didn't mean to call you infamous, but it's just, even though this is the first time we've really met and spoke in person, I know that you've been a part of so many things over the years in the city, and even, not to forget the Hospital Foundation as well that you've been part of for, I think, over 10 years now. Yep. So you seem to have your hands in anything and everything that's happening around the city.
Yeah, I kind of approach business with the idea that your customers are your community, and so if you're involved in your community and you meet your customers, you're kind of giving back a little bit. So we enjoy, sponsorships and kids ball teams and different things around the community, and I like being involved in different volunteer capacities too. So
awesome. Yeah. Now, entrepreneurially, I've been involved with a few ventures myself, and you touched on something before the interview that often gets said, sometimes in a bad way, but I think is a good thing, and that's that Newfoundland feels like it's a couple of years behind other parts of Canada in some ways. But as an entrepreneur, do you find that like a bit of an advantage where it's sometimes you can look beyond and see some things that are happening and some trends and then incorporate them right here?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, if you're entrepreneurially minded, you're kind of always watching what's happening in the rest of the world, and right now you can watch the rest of the world on your phone when you're sitting home doing nothing, kind of thing.
Right.
And you see lots of great ideas that are happening in other places.
Yeah.
Sometimes our population wouldn't support necessarily something that you think is a great plan or a great idea.
Yeah.
But most of my stuff has been related to the automobile industry or RVs, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And cars are still cars, even as EVs, come on stream and gradually will take over. You still need to take care of the money that you're laying out for these expensive automobiles, right?
Yeah, yeah. Electric vehicles is an interesting example of those, that type of thing that we see happening everywhere across the country and across the world, and we know is going to be happening here in Corner Brook, and we can see the infrastructure getting set up for it and charge stations and things like that. And what was your background before you got into the automotive industry? I know that one of your first big ventures was taking over the Honda dealership that was here in town, moving the operation across up to the top of Confederation Drive and really expanding on the auto side of it. Before that, what kind of things were you into as, I guess, a younger person as well that made you want to get into the car biz?
I've been, that's kind of a hobby for me since I was a young fellow. I think I got my first mini bike when I was, 10 or 12, and it was a junker, and my dad and I chopped the frame and moved an engine from one to the other and kind of built this Frankenstein mini bike out of paper route money. And, I bought my first car when I was 16 and kind of did a makeover on the car, and then I think I skipped off school when I turned 17 on my birthday and drove into Corner Brook and did my driver's test. And
right.
So it's always been something that I really enjoyed. I went off and did a business degree at St. FX, and then I started off with the Royal Bank in St. John's, and I spent 4 or 5 years with the Royal Bank in various capacities, finished off lastly as a branch manager in St. John's.
Oh, cool.
And the opportunity came up. I had, in the interim of that career with the Royal Bank, I had taken some time in the middle and gone to work at City Honda in St. John's, and enjoyed that, met some good contacts through that process, and then went back to work in the bank at another capacity. And at some point through the process, the owner of City Honda called me and just identified that there was an opportunity in Corner Brook for a dealership that to be purchased, and he knew I was from the West Coast and he thought it'd be a good fit. And at the time I was a young guy living payday to payday, so when you're 26 or 27 years old, the thought of buying a car dealership is pretty daunting. But
yeah.
Put together a few investors and a little bit of money and came over here and been broke ever since.
No, that's pretty cool. It's a pretty actually inspiring story of of entrepreneurial success and motivation. Even I didn't even realize that you were actually that young when you got involved with that dealership.
Yeah, I think I was 27 when I bought the dealership. So
wow.
And building a new building and doing all these things at the time were
yeah, it's big money projects. Because the dealerships, from what I understand, have these re-imaging things, and they have expectations that whether you want to or not, you must spend certain amounts of money. And
yeah. Oh yeah. And they when it comes time. Part of the reason when I sold my dealership 7 or 8 years later, I had bought a building that at the time was pushing $1 million building construction,
yeah.
But the next time they want a building built, it would have been a $10 million building, and
right.
Not in my cards for sure, right?
Yeah. So you just saw the writing on the wall kind of thing. So and we also touched on that you owned and operated Marble RV for a number of years, and so without diving too much into those things, what are some of your observations about just RVs, cars, they're big ticket purchases that people make in our community? What are some of your observations about ownership of these things and maintaining them, I guess, generally in this ecosystem, where we are living now versus maybe other parts of Canada, other parts of the world? Are there considerations or environmental factors that are kind of unique to Newfoundlanders?
Well, obviously, living here, we have 6 months of winter, plus or minus, and we use a lot of road salt. So, relatively speaking, cars here are exposed to a lot more rust than anywhere else in the country. I'm sure there's other places in the country that use lots of salt as well.
Yeah.
But places where it's colder consistently use more of a gravel mix, and but we just get freeze thaw, and every time you're driving and that wet, salty slush and water is building up in the wheel wells of your car and sitting there for 5 months over the winter.
Yeah.
it starts to eat away at your paint's clear coat and your paint, and then ultimately it leaves enough of a bare spot that starts to rust. So it's very common to see rust in areas where that would hang up around your door handles, around the wheel wells, trunk lid, door locks, whatever. Anywhere that water and dirt can hang up. So all that dirt is coming off the road and debris, and it all has a little bit of iron mineral content in it. And so the iron mineral content gets trapped in these little places, and then the mineral starts to rust, and then that's where you get rust. So if you're going out and spending 60 grand, 40 grand, 100 grand on your vehicle, and you don't then do something to kind of take care of it regularly, you're going to have a premature death to your vehicle. And I kind of like, I'm in a detailing business now, obviously cleaning cars and doing that kind of thing is something I really enjoy, but I liken it to people and say, like, if you had people over and you're in your kitchen and you dropped a French fry and you spilled your coffee and you got some crumbs on the floor, and the next thing you do after supper is clean up and sweep up and clean your kitchen and wipe your counters down. But if you're in your car drinking a coffee and it spills in your cup holder and you drop a French fry under the seat and you lose $2 coin down there and whatever, that stays there forever. Like most people are once a year clean the car, maybe vacuum it in your driveway or whatever, and that moldy French fry is now, eaten into the carpet of your vehicle and giving you a little smell in your car and you know, that kind of stuff. So it's, if we kind of treated our cars, where we spend a heck of a lot of time, like we treat our homes, then we would be cleaning them regularly, right? But nobody wants to go outside when it's minus 10 and start cleaning out your car. So, that's the opportunity for us to try and help out with that kind of
a lot of people just resolve that, like, once things start freezing up, well, that's it. I'm not cleaning my car now until, the spring. And it's maybe if you don't have a garage, it can be hard to do. Things are freezing as fast as you're cleaning. And I find it interesting that after all of your experiences that you've had in the automotive industry and beyond, that you identified, what you're doing now as something that would really be important. And so, like we touched on, your newest project and newest business venture is Detail Folks, which is operating out of what I guess used to be, they used to be the Ford dealership?
It used to be the
back in the day?
old Ford dealership years ago, probably 12, 14 years ago.
And so you're basically tackling exactly this issue, and you're here to help people sort of protect their investments. Like you said, people spend up to $100,000 on something that, sometimes they end up letting just get eaten away by the winters here. And just off camera, we were talking about some of the new, I guess, technology essentially in different ways that you can protect vehicles and things like that. And then, it got me thinking about all the different reasons for people to do this. So right off the bat, I guess, what kinds of things should people be doing to prepare for winter in terms of preparing their vehicle and for success, to minimize the amount of damage environmentally that'll occur season after season?
So a lot of people are conditioned that, you get your vehicle clean in the spring and then maybe wait through the winter and get it cleaned again next spring after all. So, but really cleaning it prior to the winter and stuff is probably better for your vehicle even than cleaning it up again in the spring, because if you can get your paint cleaned and all the contaminants that have those little iron contents in it removed from your clear coat, which is what we do, and then we put a coat of protective wax or a ceramic coating or something on your paint, then your car's got a much better chance to make it through the winter, without stuff sit. So the idea is to get things to bead off your vehicle. So you don't want things sitting, because sitting things start to create rust and spots and whatever. So if the more good wax you put on, for example, water will bead off your car and snow will slide off your car and that kind of thing, and that's protective. Ceramic coating is like putting Teflon on a frying pan on your paint, so it's so slippery that stuff just slides right off, water runs right off, and it's a permanent version of wax, really. So you'd never wax your car again once you ceramic coat it. It's good. Some of the coatings have lifetime warranty or 5-year warranty or those kinds of things.
Are there any sorts of protections for like interiors of vehicles, for sort of dealing with all that extra salt and crap that ends up on your carpets? Are there any sorts of?
There are lots of products out there that say they do those things, but there's really no substitute for cleaning. So, if you clean your car regularly on the inside, especially in the winter time, you're going to get a lot more longevity out of your vehicle. Lots of people will remember looking down in their footwell and seeing that white salt stain that stays there all year because you can't get it out or whatever, right? So, technology in cleaning equipment is different now too. When I started out first, it was a soapy bucket of water with a sponge, but now we have, steamers and chemicals and all these different things that make the job faster and easier for us to do and more effective. But if you have an ice buildup in your footwell from getting in and out with snow, and then your heater comes on your car, that turns to water, soaks in your carpet, freezes overnight, you carry in some more snow tomorrow. So a month or two into winter, you got an inch of snow that half the time turns to water and gets the cuff of your pants soaking wet or whatever. Yeah. So you leave that all winter long, and it's creating rust underneath and dampness and moisture in the underlay and mildew and all these kinds of things.
It's a destructive cycle.
Yeah, so like if you come in and have a quick wash done and you have your carpet extracted and dried out and those kinds of things, then you won't have those issues. You won't have those smells and odors in your car and stuff. So we'll have this winter, for example, a winter thaw package. So winter thaw package is you drop off your car the night before. We'll put it in our heated shop overnight, let everything melt with the doors open and stuff. And then we extract all the water out of the carpets, dry everything, give it a cleaning inside, put it back out. And that way you're starting fresh again, with a clean car and nothing damp and wet in you.
That's a big difference of even say, because there are some places where people could go try to wash their own vehicles and things in the winter, but that's a big difference that you just can't go into one of these self-serve car washes and just park it there for the night and let it dry out. So it kind of creates this rush situation.
And there's a place for all those things for self-serve car washes and all that kind of stuff, but you'll find if you go in and just hose off all the debris and dirt and pressure wash your car and then you back out and go home, your windows are frozen, your doors are frozen, all those things. So now you're trying to pull the rubbers apart on your vehicle to get the door to open afterwards.
That's a good point.
Whereas if we do it in our shop, in our heated shop, and we dry everything, when you pull your car back out, everything is just functioning as normal, right?
That's a very good point. One other thing I want to touch on now, just towards the end of our chat here, is you raised another good point before we started talking about how, wintertime in Western Newfoundland, especially in these hilly towns that we reside in, it's not uncommon for people to slide into a little snowbank, maybe back into some icy snow and cause a bit of damage, or little parts of plastic coming off and things. What options do people have besides going to a body shop? Obviously sometimes that's necessary, but what other options might people have?
So when I built this business model, basically I wanted a business that was a service-based business, and everything I've ever tried to do here is based on bringing something new to Corner Brook. So lots of times you'll see something pops up here, and then there's 2 or 3 other things pop up here that are the same, and everybody's trying to take a slice of a pie that's only so big. So I like to try and bring something new here, and I feel like people who have a scratch bumper or a little dent or a little damage from a snowbank or big rock chip, whatever, they have nowhere to go. Like they just, I did that myself. It's going to cost $3,000 at a body shop to get it all repaired. I'm just going to live with it, kind of thing, right? Whereas we can fix stuff like that for a few $100s, and it's not perfect. It's not showroom perfect, but it'll be 90% better. And so from 3 or 4 feet away from your car, it looks fine. You get up close and say, oh yeah, that's where I hit that little snowbank's little scratch there. But for the majority of people, especially if you're paying for it out of your own pocket, you're happy with that. So we do scratch repairs, dent repairs, bumpers, scuffs, and all that kind of stuff. We can fix all that stuff up.
Nice.
Deep marks in paint and touching up things. So we're doing kind of anything to do with your car that you'd be like, I know a guy who can do that. Well, we're the guy. So we're trying to do that stuff. And so it's not just detailing in the sense of washing your car and cleaning things and stuff. People come in and I'll give them recommendations, and I might detail their car and they don't even know there's a little rust spot somewhere, and I'll just say, listen, we should take that off and touch it up with paint, or you're going to have a bigger problem later. And they appreciate that kind of stuff about their vehicle, because most people, I'm a car guy, a lot of people are either car people or knowledgeable a little bit about cars, and then there's the people out there that, what kind of car do you have? Oh, it's red. That's all they care about. Put the key in, go, right? But they still want to have some value to their vehicle when they go to trade it in. You don't want to, have a bunch of money wasted because your car. So we even do a sale or trade package. So if you're thinking of selling or trading your vehicle in, you bring it to me first, and I'll fix everything up, clean everything up, polish everything up, make it super shiny. So you spend a few dollars to do that, but you'll probably get a couple grand more when you sell it or trade it.
That's something that, you know, with your experiences, you'd certainly have an eye for, I imagine. Well, thanks for coming in to talk about this.
No problem.
There's so much more that we could discuss. I know you guys have a broad range of services, but I think you'll probably be seeing my wife and I down with our little Pathfinder here soon to get ready for the winter. So we're looking forward to seeing what you got going on there.
Yeah, perfect. Thanks for having me.
Thanks. All right, stay tuned, folks. We're going to be right back with the events of the month.
Hello, everyone. In the lobby, we have Lawn's annual Art from the Heart exhibition, and that's on until January. Coming up after Christmas, we have a few exhibitions booked, so please do make the time to drop up and see us. We have lots of shows coming up after the holidays. Canberra Arts community musical production of The Music Man will be from February 16th to 18th. Tickets will be on sale soon for that show. Also in February, we have the Broadway Blues Band doing Eric Clapton, featuring local artists Wilf Party, Jerry Phillips, and Sheldon Power. Coming up in March, we have Atlantic Jazz Nights on March 27th. And this will feature Shannon Barnett, Nick Fraser, Florian Hefner, and Jim Vivian. This is our second year for the Atlantic Jazz Nights, and we are sure it's going to become an annual favorite. Coming up in April, we have Kelly Loader. The show in April coincides with the release of their new album. Also in April, we have a Night of Magic with Michael Conway. And we are always adding new shows every day, so please be sure to check out the website. If you are looking for a gift for that hard-to-buy someone, we have lots of shows, and don't forget about our gift certificates, so you can give the gift of entertainment. Happy holidays from all of us at the Center.
And I want to thank Jamie Fallow from coming down from Detail Folks. They're located right here on Mount Bernard, and right now they have gift certificates available as well. So if you've got that person in your family who you know loves to take care of their vehicle, or maybe somebody who doesn't but should, then you can go down there, grab a gift certificate. And you can find them online on Facebook at Detail Folks. And of course, as always, thanks to our community partners, David Smallwood, Krista Hansen, Willie Smith, and others who keep us informed on the events happening right here in the city. That's it for this episode. We'll be back next Tuesday with the Christmas hoopla. We'll see you then. Have a great night.
My biggest therapy is Mother Nature. When I walk through the woods, I'm seeing a little bit more than just a tree and just a plant. I see what I can do with it. I make medicines and salves from plants and trees. In 2014, I suffered with a heart attack. Since I had my heart attack, obviously there were some Western medications involved. And on top of the Western medication, I have found myself nature-wise, and medicines provided by Mother Nature has helped me a lot. With nature, I have burned sage and sweetgrass. I find that that cleanses the air and, you know, helps you cleanse your body. It also helps me talk to my ancestors. That has helped me through this whole process. I feel responsible as a Mi'kmaq person to help Mother Nature. We look at everything, whether it is a rock or a tree, as life. When I collect my medicines, I'm offering tobacco to thank the plant for the medicine. So the plant will, give me medicine again the following year. It's a part of the big whole. Right now we're standing in the middle of a boreal forest. I can look around, I can see birch trees. Birch tree, for example, there's so many things you can do with that. That is the tree of life. Aboriginal people have used the bark for making canoes, for making shelter, for fire starting. There's a fungus that grows on birch, it's called chaga. I use that for my tea. It's a very, very good all-around tonic. Balsam fir trees, the blisters on those trees actually were used to heal cuts and scrapes. You cut yourself in the woods, the first thing we'll do is put some balsam fir sap on it. Society now is so fast. I think the world really needs to slow down and just enjoy nature and the smells and the sights and sounds. Well, this is where it all started in the beginning, was from our plants, and our animals and that kind of thing. Why not go back to the beginning and get back to our roots again? It's very important for the Mi'kmaq people to embrace native tradition. For many, many years, we were told not to be Aboriginal, and I think now society has embraced Aboriginal peoples, and we should embrace our history in the sense of traditional medicines and traditional foods. I think it's all a part of the culture that we've lost. So now we have an opportunity to reach out and find ourselves again.
Comment about this program, we'd love to hear it. Email or call us, or send us your feedback through social media.
This is a brain in urgent need of mental health care. But because 3 out of every 4 Indigenous people experience racism in healthcare, she may not get the help she needs. Become an ally. Rise above racism in healthcare.
What do you think I'm going to be all intrigued by what's behind the door?
You've given me the world.
Grab a coat, you're coming with me.
Yes, ma'am. You deserve it all. You deserve it all.
Merry Christmas, everybody.
You deserve it all.
This is a man's heart, a heart in desperate need of medical attention.